afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. We're so excited that you are joining us, and we are glad that you are here. Welcome to March
Yes.
2025.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's so good to see everybody. Patrick and I from the Renewal Center want to welcome you to Tea Time Tuesday today. We are here to pause, to reset, and to build resilience. Good afternoon, Hope. It's good to see
Hey,
you.
Hope. Hello, hello.
Yes, it's good to see everybody tuning in. And, what we would love for you to do is to take a moment, if you are on YouTube, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're excited that we're just really going forth in a greater way on our YouTube channel. We want to get our subscribers up. So like and share this broadcast as well, because we want to stop at the top of the noon hour on Tuesdays and let everyone know that we are taking time to do some renewal practices. And we want to invite everyone to join in with us. And while we're doing that, March is going to bring us several awarenesses, but one of the awarenesses that we want to share with you is our National Women's History Month. Of course, the Renewal Center loves to celebrate that, and we are celebrating and honoring the contributions and accomplishments of women throughout history. And, not only throughout history, but it's past, present, and what they're doing in our world, what we're doing in our communities and in society. So many things, so many contributions has been made. And so we want to draw our attention to that for the month of March, National Women's History Month. And so that's great. We're excited. We're already 4 days into the month, Patrick.
Yes.
I think we have 16 more days till spring is here. And I can't wait. The tulips and the daffodils are out. Those are my favorite flowers.
Time to visit some water and some streams and lakes, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All of that. And so today we're excited. We're going to, just to let you know ahead of time, we're going to be talking today. Patrick is going to bring our renewal practices on rewriting your narratives, your mental narratives. So we hope that you would take the opportunity to make sure that you have your Tea Time journal. I have mine with me. And that's right. Rewrite your mental narratives. Yes. Spring. That's right, Hope. We're all ready for the spring. Few more days. I have my renewals, my Tea Time journal, and I'm excited. So we ask that you would bring your tea, invite your friends today. And so while we're doing that, we want to talk about our tea of the week. A very interesting tea. The tea of the week is Belgian chocolate rooibos tea. That's a mouthful. Belgian chocolate rooibos tea. So if you like the delectable taste of chocolate, you would love this particular tea. It is a combination of rooibos tea leaves and the cacao plant or beans or whatever have you. It originates from South Africa, and it's a real luxury. It's a very smooth tea that you can drink any time of the year. Now, I haven't had that. I'm assuming it might taste like hot chocolate, but nevertheless, has a little kick of rooibos in there and chocolate mixed together to come up with a nice combination.
Now, you've been to Belgium, right?
Huh?
You've been to Belgium before, right?
Oh, yeah. I've been to Belgium plenty of times. Love Belgium, but I never had Belgian tea.
Okay. Right.
But I've had Belgian chocolate.
Right. Okay.
It's real smooth chocolate. So I'm guessing that if the Belgian chocolate and the rooibos tea together, it's probably a real good combination because Belgian chocolate is really good.
It really is.
So,
yes, it is.
So once again, our tea of the week is Belgian chocolate rooibos tea. That's a mouthful.
That is. That's a whole lot there going on there. Well, you know what? That means we need to try that. I'm not sure where to get it, but let's check that out. That'd be good to pursue.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that. I'll try it and then I'll come back and tell you how I like it. You too, right?
Yes, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Just by sheer virtue of the name.
Yeah, because it sounds very interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
I know it's a lot going on, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Like, okay, I just want to drink tea. but it's all right.
Right, exactly. Well, what kind of tea are you drinking today, Patrick?
Actually, I have my ginger crystals today. So
Okay.
doing my ginger crystals right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's healthy. I have
Mm-hmm.
slippery elm tea.
Slippery elm. Okay.
Slippery elm and fennel tea. It's supposed to be good for your
Okay.
digestive system, I guess. So I'm trying it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm having today. What are you guys having out there today? Go ahead and put it in the chat. What tea are you drinking, or what is your drink of choice today? And while we're doing that, we're going to take a moment to just locate ourselves, pause, and relax ourselves. That's what we do here at the Renewal Center for Tea Time Tuesday. So let's take a minute, do some deep breathing, and watch the imagery that comes up so that we can relax. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for that nice little stroll. I don't know where that stroll was, but Patrick, that's
Mm-hmm.
really nice. Where is that?
I don't know. I saw it and I was like, that's where I need to be today. So
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, for taking that moment to locate ourselves. And I'm going to turn it over to Patrick so we can go into our tea time renewal practices today.
All right. Well, thank you, Carmela, and welcome everybody to our Tea Time Tuesday here at the Renewal Center. Our focus, of course, is to pause, reset, and build resilience. Pause, reset, and build resilience. I want you to share. All right. So share this link with all of your friends. Let them know that we are now on YouTube, 100% here. Looking forward to your engagement. So let's get the subscriptions up. All right. Nichelle says she has pomegranate, blueberry, kai chi tea. All right. All right. Anybody else, please share your tea of choice with us. And we appreciate you subscribing, everybody, and definitely share this. We want to get our subscriptions up right now. We are almost at 100. And so we have a goal within the next month to increase those subscriptions to 200 people. So we're going to keep pushing our channel, looking forward to engaging more followers, more folks to interact with us and engage us with our content here at the Renewal Center's Tea Time Tuesday. So excited about today. The subject that I'm going to focus on today is really about rewriting our mental narratives, and considering what our world is experiencing, Carmela, and with our mission at the Renewal Center to help people understand the importance of pausing and resetting and building resilience. There are many times that we engage in certain mental narratives that either cultivate a good habit or cultivate a negative habit or response. So it's important that we steady our efforts and purpose in order to cultivate a better mindset towards how we view the world. And so I want everybody to take a look at the screen and think about narratives and perception. Think about narratives and perception. Many times the way that we perceive is the way we're going to receive, right? So our perception leads to reception. However I perceive something is how I'm going to receive it. Carmela, if I perceive you a particular way because I have a mental narrative about you, that's how I'm going to receive you. Just that's like true. I'm looking at this is we have to think about how we're viewing our world. And many times it's based upon the information or the lack of information, facts, and perspectives that we have. And so I wanted to start out with this because we have perceptions. One person sees 4, somebody else sees 3.
I love
that. Perception many times can be everything. That's all right. And we got to think through, Carmela, what is this saying to you? What's your reaction to
I
that?
love that. Well,
You know,
this is telling me, if you look at it, like you said, perception is everything. Now, the person on the left say, hey, wait a minute, I see what is that, a 6?
mm-hmm,
The person on the right is saying, no, I see a 9. And they're
mm-hmm,
both true based off their perception. So if person number 2 would just come on over to the side where the first one, they'll be able to see from their point of view. If the other
mm-hmm.
person came on the other side, they'll still be able to see what they're seeing from from where they're standing, their angle. They can see that's a 9. So it's almost like coming to a common ground and understand is, okay, I see what you see,
Mm-hmm.
and I see what I see. What I see perceives to be true because based off where I'm standing, through my lens and my perception, that's what it looks like. And it's accurate. If you
Yes,
look
it
at
is.
the picture, it is accurate on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because, it's like, well, it's kind of confusing. I see 4, I see 3, I see 6, I see 9. And many
Mm-hmm.
times our perceptions really cause us to have a certain type of engagement. And it's all
Right.
about how we frame. All right. It's all about the lens. It's all about the framing, the different frames that we're looking through and how that impacts how we view the world and how we view each other. And so, that is so important that we start looking at our narratives and why our narratives are the way that we are. And so it's important that we're able to do it. That's right, John. Hey, John, how you doing? Perceptions today are being challenged as to us not believing our own eyes. This is bad. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, absolutely. And so we create specific narratives, we create mental scripts. And so it's important that we're able to look at life and manage it. Now, I want to just also put up the image that we used again for our locate yourself exercise. And just from a perspective of framing, when I look at this particular imagery here, and I look at it and I say, this is a path. Correct, Mel? It's a path, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
path. It's in the
fast.
hills or mountains or what have you. It is a path. But the thing about this is it's not just I'm seeing a path. I think this is what I would say that's calming and beautiful. That's how I would look at that. Say, wow, that's calming. That's calming. So what I did was I created a narrative or I framed it by looking at it and saying, if I say it's a path, right, a road or something, that's not framing. The narrative comes when I start saying, that's beautiful. So we see things as a certain way, right? So, Carmela, when you look at that, what word comes to you when you're looking at that? Mine was calming, relaxing, whatever.
Now initially when we were doing the locate yourself, I said, oh wow, that's nice. I love the cobblestones. It's really nice. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when we're coming back looking at this now, and I'm looking at the entire picture, I could say, oh, the sun's going down. Oh, I need to hurry up. I don't know if I want to take this road where it's going. If you look ahead, it looks like by the time I get down there, it may, the day might be coming, to the end of the day and the sun is going down. I might kind of feel like I'm going to get lost.
Mm-hmm. See? And
That's
so,
not a
therefore,
negative thing. It's just,
framing, right?
right.
Whereas if we're out there in the camp and there's a bear, you might be like, "Oh, look at the cute bear." Somebody else may say that's dangerous. So
Right.
it's framing, it's narrative. So
Absolutely.
the key thing is that our framing is not static. It's
Yeah.
not static. Our narrative is not static. All right. Our narrative is not static. Once I looked at it, I was just like, oh, okay, this is nice. It was calming. I'm walking somewhere. I'm, just kind of floating above, so framing narratives, right, are important to how we view. Let's take another step. We're always framing, right? We're
Right.
always framing. So let's just use the framing of it has to do with what our immediate snap judgments of how we relate to reality and its relationship to us. And
Mm-hmm.
so many times we frame a particular narrative a certain way, that impacts how we live, how we move, how we engage people, how we engage particular groups. And so I want to give us an opportunity to kind of workshop this today, Carmela. I want to workshop it a little bit where we can start thinking through, why do we frame things the way that we do? And then how do we unwrite that? How do we rewrite our mental narratives? Now, let's define this for us, though, because many times flawed stories of the past shape our views of the world and our expectations of the future. Those are false narratives. There are certain narratives that we engage in that are flawed stories of the past that shape our views of the world and also our expectations of the future. All right. So we have them. All of us have them because the world is a mess, right? Life is a little messy. So you're going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be some mess. We're going to go to bed. There's going to be some mess. The reality is that it is messy, but it is, what do we do with it, right? Mm-hmm. What is the narrative and how do we frame it? Because it's not static. And so we want to spend some time evaluating and looking at how we frame, because again, flawed stories of the past that shape our views of the world and our expectations of the future is what we would say it's a false narrative. So we're going to work through this because I think it's important that we start thinking about, what do we need to do to rewrite them? What do we need to do to look at them to see why they're even there? And that helps us, Mel, with I would say a healthier mindset. All right. So what it is, everybody in the comments, I want you to put, what do I tell myself? All right. What do I tell myself? Everybody tells ourselves, we tell ourselves something. So that's what a mental narrative is. It is what I tell myself. It guides how I interpret situations. It guides how I experience life, right? And it tells me certain things, and it can distort perceptions and behaviors. So it's not just a byproduct of our thoughts. It really shapes our reality. That's what it does. It shapes our reality and causing us to perceive something that may not even be there. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's important that we're able to look at that. And I want us to explore that as a renewal practice to say, because of what we're experiencing, because of what's happening in our world and just what's happening in our lives in general from day to day, what do we need to do to be able to handle and rewrite certain narratives? So again, flawed stories. And I really want you to think about that, Tea Timers. What are the flawed stories of past that may shape your view of the world and expectations of the future? Carmela, any thoughts on that? What do I tell myself, everybody? Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good that you know that you did mention that. And before I say anything, Monique is saying, I see the twists and turns along the path of my journey. Thank you, Monique, for sharing that. You know, when I think about what you were saying, what do I tell myself? Those narratives. I think about, I don't have to repeat or embrace the negative narratives from before. It's when you were talking about that, I thought about, what am I seeing? And sometimes I like to use an analogy of like a kaleidoscope, because what we see when we look through a kaleidoscope, there are all these different elements are there, but they're skewed. They're skewed and they're not accurate. They don't always look the same, depending on how you adjust the lens or turn them. And so I like that you're saying this, how we look at ourselves, and it's how we compartmentalize things too, because we all do that. We put things in different things and different boxes or different frames or whatever it has you, but then it's how we interpret them. And, you know, what's really accurate and how am I learning from this? Because most of the time we can take something from before the past and that just dominates how we view about certain things, whether or not we're going to try something different or try something new or engage in something based off what we went through months or years ago. So I do like how you're sharing that. How do we see ourselves in these things?
Yes. What are we telling ourselves? You know, and I really want us to think about how it's not just a byproduct of our thinking, and it really shapes your reality. It shapes the reality of how you deal with other people.
That's right.
It contributes to self-talk. It contributes to really what kind of mindset. It's not an easy journey, right? When you have them. And so I think we need to understand our current mental scripts, think about, the narratives that we do tell ourselves. One other thing I want to share is that too much of what we think we understand about the world is from a narrative we've absorbed without examining the underlying data. So there's too much of what we think we understand. So, we have a particular data. I mean, you've lived in other countries before,
Mhm.
and I remember when we lived in Germany specifically and lived in other countries, I believe that there's a certain way they actually have to tell you how you engage from the United States versus engaging in that particular country. Now, this is back in the 80s, clearly, but
Right.
there's a certain way you engage culture. And
That's
sometimes
right.
people have their narrative already. Well, look, I'm from the United States. I'm an American, so this is how it's going to be. Well, no, it's not how it's going to be,
No, it's not.
right? So,
Exactly.
and so there's a certain behavior, certain perspective that comes up that could color my reality of how I'm going to live when I move to this country and I live in this country. And so,
Mhm.
it impacts you. And I think it takes some time for us to think about that, because we do have many times the way we understand the world, it comes from absorbing without examining the data. We just assume this is how it's going to be. And as a result, it distorts, it colors, it influences our
Yeah.
realities. We all deal with mental narratives. All of us do.
Mhm.
So I want us to examine a few today, Mel, in our renewal practices. So I want
Okay.
you to answer this question, everybody. Ask yourself, what stories do you accept as reality about the world? What stories do you accept as reality about the world? That is that helps you identify, friends. It helps you identify how our particular narratives are framed, um, and it helps you identify where your mindset is in terms of how you're viewing. So,
Mm.
what stories do you accept as reality about the world? You don't have to answer that right now, but I think that's just worth
I like
us thinking through. Camille, you got some thoughts? Go ahead.
Oh, no, no. Well, I was just one thing came to my mind. Of course, a lot of us have different perspective on things that shape how we navigate through life. Like, for instance, like you were saying, what stories do you accept as reality about the world? Well, some people may see there's just not enough room at the top for everyone. There's just not enough room for everyone. There's just not enough for everyone to have what they want. Not everybody can dream. Not everybody can actualize or crystallize their dreams. Versus, I believe there's plenty of opportunities for me to dream. I believe there's plenty of room for me to actualize my dreams and to have goals. But if you have the mindset of there's not enough, then you may not move out. And because of these narratives that we create, causes us not to move out in what we're doing because of we see the world in a different way. We see the world through our lens that may be
Mm,
stopping us from moving forward.
I like that. We're going to dig into that right there. Our lens.
Yeah.
One thing John here is saying, John Tober says, a false narrative is deliberately constructed story or explanation that I think is demonstrably untrue or misleading, which can manipulate perception. That's true.
Mhm.
Absolutely. We have false narratives externally. We have false narratives internally.
Mhm.
And so we have to think about, it's important and imperative to us to look at, what do I tell myself? All right.
Right.
That's the question we started out with. What do I tell myself? We started out by looking at that particular image, right? And what you're seeing when you see that image. And we all create narratives, right? We have snap judgments. It's incredibly complex, Mel. It's so different because, we complicate things based upon our chosen stories. And so
That's
I want
right.
us to spend a little bit more time in this subject today. And this will help us with how we're managing, how we're perceiving the world. I think what I shared last week was, don't absorb what you observe, right? And we are natural absorbers because of certain things that we experience. For instance, um, somebody may say, I'm just not a morning person. Okay, that's a narrative.
Hmm.
Well, it's true to me, but maybe you reinforced it. Maybe I'm just not, So it's important for you to know what your narratives are so that others can understand why you have that narrative. What does that mean? That mean you don't want to talk to me? Does that mean that you get better energy in the morning or lack of energy? Or are you creative? Are you not creative? You see where I'm going? Not everybody understands our narratives. Matter of fact, Carmela, you know what? I don't think we even understand our narratives half the time.
Well, I think some things are done by repetition. You know, it's ingrained, some of those things. And we don't, one of the things, going back to the quote that you were saying about false narratives, or we're not challenging what the facts are. What are the real facts? Why? Yeah, we're not examining the underlying data. So why do we do what we do? What is the accuracy behind what we're doing? It kind of goes back to that analogy about the grandmother who cuts the ham down. And, you know, and, you know, why am I cutting the ham down every year for the holidays? Well, the reason being is because back a long time ago, it was passed down to the grandmother, cut it down to fit into the pan, right? But we incorporated that because it was just, oh, that's the way it's done. But we didn't challenge, why is it done? Why?
It tastes better. It tastes better. It tastes better when you cut the edges off. I had nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. No. You didn't have big enough pans. You just cut off the side to make it fit. Yeah. And, you know, it makes us think about what family narratives have we created.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, there are narratives about where you from. There's narratives about the side of the tracks you from. There's narratives about what city you from. You from the south side of so-and-so. I'm from the north side. I'm from this place. So, you know, we create narratives based upon even where we live. And we don't examine.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's important that we're able to look at that and help us understand where those comes from, where those ideas come from, those perspectives, where they come from, the importance of being able to examine them. All right.
I'm laughing at what Monique put up on the screen.
Yeah. Because we do. We just create these narratives, have no idea where they come from, and we all embrace them. You know, so I just think that's important that we're able to look at that. And I want us to take some time today to recognize we got to look at the underlying data, where it comes from. So my question here is, what stories do you accept as reality about the world? What stories are you accepting right now? What stories have you been accepting the majority of your life, perhaps? Here are a few false narratives. Here's one, Mel. I need to excel in all my various roles, home, career, family, without asking for help. That's a narrative. Think about that. You want to read the other two? Go ahead.
I cannot claim too much space for myself. I need to remain as small as I possibly can. That's a mindset there.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want anybody to think that I'm arrogant. I don't want anybody to think that I'm proud. I don't want anybody to think it's about me. So you know what? I'll stay small, because if I claim too much space, people will think this and think thus and thus about me. It is a narrative.
It is. Yes, it is.
But yet, it's a narrative. That is a mental narrative. The other one, I must look calm and keep a smile on my face, even if I feel completely overwhelmed.
And where did that come from?
I mean, I wonder.
Yeah.
Well, you got to constantly be in control. You better never let them see you sweat. That's how life is. And you're not allowed to share what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what's going on inside of you, because you don't want to seem aggressive, Carmela. You don't want to be aggressive now, right? Keep it all together. Those are all. I just kind of wrote down a couple of challenges. Why? Because many times people think they got to excel. I mean, you got to excel in your home. Matter of fact, you better not drop the ball in your home, career, or your family. You better be on point all the time. False
No
narrative.
self-compassion.
None at all. You better be perfect. All right.
Yeah.
What are some other false narratives that you think happen? Just as a woman, any false narratives that you as women experience since we're in Women's History Month?
Well, got to be all to everyone because of the
Mm,
nurturing. Sometimes got to be all things to everyone, and that is a false narrative. Where did that come from?
okay.
We're
So
only one person. Can't do
you got to be it
everything.
all the time. Uh-huh.
Right.
Hmm.
Instead of doing your best and the intentionality behind it is I'm doing my best to serve or whatever I'm doing, but you can't be all things to all people.
Hmm.
Yes, unhealthy, very unhealthy cultural norms. Thank you,
Yeah.
Monique.
Yeah. We have these perspectives. And so I think it's important, folks, if you want to flood the comments in the chat, go ahead and share with us what are potential false narratives that maybe you've embraced or you've noticed. I just kind of wrote down a few examples that I thought, because many times you get in roles and you think, well, and a lot of that comes out of perfectionism, Mel. Well, I got to be on point all the time. Says who?
Exactly.
Says who? Says what? Right? Is it the cult of the hero? Right? Every movie that they get stabbed in the thigh and it's pulling out like nothing impacted them. Man, if you mess up your little toe, y'all screaming. You know what I mean?
That is
Like,
not
it
real.
hurt. Yeah,
That's
that
not
doesn't
real.
bother me. I take it out, throw it aside. I keep moving like nothing bothered me.
Who does
False,
that?
right? False
No.
narrative, right? We're
Very
inundated with those things.
yes.
We grow
Absolutely.
up with them. We implement them, and so these are just a few that I wanted to share that I think we need to think about to help us rewrite those. So I wanted to spend some time today looking at false narratives, asking ourselves the question, what stories do you accept as reality about the world? I wanted us to be able to understand where those false narratives come from and how those are framed in our lives. And so
Mhm.
different, and really what that is those are the thoughts behind your behaviors, right? Reactions you have to certain situations. And
Yeah.
so if we're going to rewrite that, there's always a backstory to your narrative. That's what I want to say. There's always a backstory to the narrative. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It started in my mind. It started in my family. I'm trying to deal with some mental scripts right now. So we're gonna walk through this. So if you're out there journaling or taking some notes, all right, it's important that we're able to do that. Here's another one. Monique is saying women in business must work harder in order to be accepted and seen as a competent leader. A narrative. Somebody else is gonna say, well, that's true. That is true. Right? And now, what do we do to conquer, to reframe, to rewire the actual narrative?
That's good.
So that's what we're going to work on next few minutes. Okay, first, identify your old scripts. It all starts out with honesty. Identify your old scripts. So sometimes you got to think about your upbringing. You got to think about your past. Sometimes there are experiences that shape your current mental narrative. What do you tell yourself? I'm not a morning person. I'm not a math person, Carmela. I'm not an athletic person. We got all these different things that we say about ourselves. I'm not a night person. I'm not an evening person. I'm not an athletic person. So therefore, I'm not going to work out. We got to look at those. What do you tell yourself when you're cultivating a certain habit? When did you start believing this personal narrative? Go back to the point of origin. When did you start believing in that personal narrative? When did that arise in your life? Now we're going to go back. This is good because I think what this is going to do is help us identify where things end in our lives. For instance, right now, I'm trying to really get back again after some health events in my own life. All right. Let's just say I want to reverse the script that is hard, it's difficult for me to stay consistent in my working out and my fitness. And so I'll say things, my mental script, I'll exercise later. There's some more important things right now. That's my narrative, Carmel. I'll get to it. It's right around the corner of my other room. I got a membership that I'm getting charged with every month, right? And yet in my mind, I can exercise later. There are other things that are more important right now. So what I would do in this type of exercise, first identifying your old scripts is, why do I continue to say I can exercise later? There are other things that are more important right now. Where did I start believing that unofficial personal narrative? What did I tell myself when I thought about cultivating that particular habit of wanting to be disciplined in that space in the area of fitness, athleticism, working out, things like that? Any thoughts on that as far as, can you relate to that? Any thoughts out there on that, Mel?
I was sitting there thinking, you asked, is there a reason why? Well, you may have a misinterpretation about time. You have a misinterpretation about your time management, or utilizing your time and what is important, or the lack thereof. Maybe you just see time as, well, I'll get to it whenever I can, and not really looking at the fact that, well, am I managing my time? Do I even honor the time that I have? I mean, that's the perspective, I'm a time management person. So you're asking about, why am I not engaging physical fitness like I should? And it's right there. And maybe your interpretation about time may not be all that important. I'll get to it whenever I can. So that could be a narrative or ingrained belief that maybe you don't honor time like maybe you should.
See, and there it is. And I have to ask myself the question: where did that come from? Where did that personal mantra come up? How did I get that? Why did I adopt it? So, second, write down what script you want to replace with your current scripts. Everybody, I want you to identify your old script. Right? Everybody has them. They have their old narratives. All right. We're talking about narratives, mindset scripts. I want you to identify your old narrative, write down the narrative you want to replace with a current narrative. You got to pause and reset to do this. Part of Tea Time Tuesday, right? So identify, right? Write down the next narrative you want to replace. And that's with any bad habit, Mel. That's with any narrative. You need to know what to replace it with.
Yeah.
So you know what I did, Mel? I started thinking, well, any exercise is better than no exercise. I had to start small.
You're getting somewhere.
Yeah. So I was like, what? Me get up and do it. It is better. Oh, but my mind was like, you got to write you got to do your research papers. You got to complete this dissertation process. There are a lot of other things that are going on that you got to prepare for, blah, 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 right? You got this proposal. Right. You got that. And that is true. But then I began to say, okay, you know what? Any amount of exercise is better than none. I feel energized after I exercise. I love how this makes me feel. I like how I'm thinking when I exercise, what it does to me physiologically. And so the more that I began to do that, the more I began to reverse that. Then I can now say, okay, as I'm getting older, I want my body to be able to be very agile. I want to remain healthy after my peak years. And I need this habit right now. I don't need to wait. So there's certain things I need to write out. Again, we need to think through, write down what script you want to replace with your current scripts. Write down the narrative you want to replace. Everybody write it out. Replace your narrative. Write down your narrative and replace it. That means you got to sit down and think. Now, Carmela, what would you do if you knew you had a narrative that you want to replace? What would your process look like when you're replacing it with a new narrative? What does that look like to you?
I probably look at it like, why am I acting like that? Why am I even thinking like that? What's the reason behind that? And then I would dig and figure that out. And then I would, like you say, rewrite it and sit and find affirmations and goals, write my goals out. And then I put some affirmations with it to help me honor that. What changes do I need to make? And when I make the changes, then let me put some affirmations on that so that it kind of encourage me to stay the course of it. That's what I would do.
Okay. And so that requires some time. It requires what? Some discipline.
With it.
It requires some honesty. Honesty. Right. And it comes out in how we perceive other people. We make judgments about other people many times, and we don't rewrite our narratives. We make
That's
false
right.
judgments and perceptions of others, but you're like this and you're like this. It's like, no, that's not necessarily true. That is your particular script. That's your narrative that you're looking through, not my narrative that we're looking through. So it's
Right.
important that we're able to take time, like you're saying. You're using affirmations. What are you saying? I am a healthy individual. You start writing these things out to start reinforcing your mindset. I mean, because reading does that to us. Reading
Yes.
expands us. Writing it out, that expands us. Hearing it expands us. That's how we listen to music. That's how we engage in memorization of things, by seeing it, by writing it, by reciting it. What that does is it expands. And I think what this is, and also I think if we continue to think we know everything, right, and don't take the time to rewrite the narrative, then we become victims of our current body of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So using terms like always and never shows me that I am not really pliable in my learning. Mm-hmm. Well, I always do this. No, you don't. Nobody always anything, and nobody never is. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I never do that. Or I am always on point. No, that's not true.
You have to be teachable. That's how life works.
Right. We got to be teachable. We got to be, I like to call it, wet cement in the hand of life. We got to be pliable before we, become coarse and hardened in life. That helps us with that. So I just want to make sure, T-timers, when we think about rewriting our narratives, we got to be honest that we have them, and that we're not people that are constantly always on point with things. It helps you grow. Otherwise, that means where you are right now, whether it's career, whether it's business, whether it's your family dynamics, whether it's the home that you're living in, many times that is because of the personal narratives that we have. And so we need to rewrite them to help us expand. Any thoughts on that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I like what you said. I was thinking about that last part when you were talking about our homes and everything. It's a reflection of what we are. It's a reflection of what we're thinking. It's a reflection of all those things. It's just it just unfolds because we're here in our home, we're here in our office, wherever we may be. It unfolds because of what we're thinking. It unfolds out of us because of where we are. So if we rewrite things, we say, I'm going to think positive. I'm going to focus on this, focus on that. What does that look like in my mind? Okay, let me create this atmosphere so I can move outside of the old narrative and create something new, renew what I'm thinking.
That's good.
That's good. I mean, at a blink of an eye, you can change that. It's what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm always learning. I have not arrived, so I always say that. But I mean, that's how I view what you're talking about. Replacing. That's right. Replacing the current scripts.
Good. This is good.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next 3 points. Okay, 2 points. Break down which narrative you like to rewrite first. So which one do you want to rewrite first? Break it. So that's part of your expertise about time utilization. You got to break it down in a bite-sized chunk, right? Or tackle whatever first one's on the list. So part of it could be, okay, let me create a plan as well. And sometimes I think the big showstopper is perfectionism. We want to create a plan that is infallible, and that is not realistic. It is not going to be an infallible plan. So again, we want to break it down which narrative you would like to rewrite first, because we all have them. We started out with the ones earlier here. I think someone said that they've used all of these scripts before. Some of us embrace these. There are other narratives that we tell ourselves. And so what do we need to do to be able to shift these? So Carmela, what's the power in your mind? What would be the power of breaking down your narrative, which one you would like to rewrite first? What's the power in that one from your perspective?
What's the power in that? Seeing, being honest with yourself, and then having the power to say, I can change. I can. I think that builds confidence, and it shifts our mindset from, well, I can't do anything about it. Yes, I can. I can do this. I can change. That's the power of it. The power of it is you are empowering yourself, and that you do have the audacity, you do have the wherewithal to make changes in your life or in your surrounding or whatever you're to rewrite the script, change your narrative.
Good. This is rich. I'm liking this because I think what this is going to help us look at what we're experiencing currently in our world. What are some things we can shift in, transition in, transform in, perspectives that we need to evaluate and assess so that we can see ourselves move forward. And that's the third point, breaking down which narrative you'd like to rewrite first. And then lastly, what is going to be our plan? All right. What is our plan on implementing it? And it's not going to be an infallible plan, but it should be something that we can look at and say, wow, I'm seeing these changes. I like to say when we think about planning is when you get stuck in a narrative. All right. Being stuck in a narrative is when I'm spinning it around in my head consistently. It could be a narrative about somebody else because I start creating stories in my brain, clever stories about people, clever stories about particular roles, clever stories about perspectives we just have. Things like so-and-so should have done this and on, and, blah, blah, blah. And so when we get hooked in a narrative, it's hard to break away from that. And so we got to become aware that we're hooked. That's part of this. When we look at what I want to start with is we got to be aware, become aware we're hooked. And so what do we do when we're hooked into a narrative? Because it's hard to get out that trap, I've seen myself tell myself a story and it seems so solid and so real that I can't even let it go sometimes. And so the first thing you got to do is regard it as it is a story. It is a dream. It is not real, right? It doesn't mean it's false. It just means it's not so solid. So it's something that I'm playing out in my head. All right. And many times, just like a dream, it has, very emotional results. When we see it as just something that's a figment of our mind and it's not solid, it helps you come out of that and you can not act on it. What do you think of that?
I like that. I like the fact that we have to look at things and find out, is this really accurate? The narrative part of it is apparently, if there's a narrative that is somewhere, there's no accuracy there unless it's real. Now that's different.
Correct. And that's another thing right there when we deal with the realities of things. Right. But
if it's a narrative, then okay, what's accurate, what's not, what is it that finding the facts again, going back to what's real, what's factual in it.
Yep. And we want to stay with our awareness. So that means, without interpretation or without judgment, without a preconception, stories are going to come up and you just got to notice them and not get caught up in them. Because if you do, you got to notice it and say, I'm not going to hold tightly to this. I'm going to come back to the present moment. Everybody in the comments, come back to the present moment, or put in there present moment. We want to come back to the present moment. All right. When you're in your head, when you're in your brain, when you're in your mind like that, and you're getting caught up into and you're clinging to the story. Okay. You know what? Let me just become aware of what's happening right now. The story is coming up. I notice it and I'm not going to get caught up. I'm not going to try to interpret it. I'm not going to try to judge it. I'm not going to try to bring up any more preconceptions. Present moment. I'm going to focus on what's happening right now. And that helps you get freedom. Now, this is a skill you got to develop. All right. Because most people that can't stay in this mode for very long because we go right back into our heads. We do. We go right back into, I go back to what we call it, a default. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What you say?
I'm laughing because you go back into your head and then you go down a rabbit hole.
There it is. The default, right?
Yeah.
I go back to my default factory settings and I'm back at the same place again. So there's a deliberate intentionality that we want to be present moment, everybody, to help us get there. When we're in this space of breaking down which script we'd like to rewrite first, and then creating a plan. So part of creating a plan is I'm going to be in the present moment. I'm not going to evaluate. I'm not going to assess. I'm not going to be preconceived notions concerning the story. That's what it is. It is a story. This is what it is. And as a result of that, I now have more power over it because I'm in the present moment. I bring myself back to where I need to be. All right. Well, I know we're almost at time, everybody. Wish we had a little bit more time on this subject. I think this is a really relevant subject. I want to hear from our tea timers. What are some of the takeaways from tea time, from the renewal practices today? Carmela, any thoughts that maybe resonated with you today regarding our renewal practice on rewriting our narratives?
Oh, well, I really like the fact that when we started off, we were talking about this, making sure that we're looking at the story from it's flawed, it's not accurate. So when narratives come, reminding ourselves that it is flawed and finding ways to rewrite and rethink it again. I really like that instead of embracing it. Sit with it, but then think about, well, wait a minute, this is not accurate. So if it's not accurate, then what do I need to change about how I see it? Going back to the pictures that we looked at.
You know, a key thing that I'm thinking about really is thinking through breaking down what I need to rewrite and spending more time with the breakdown part of it. Like really breaking down, what do I need to rewrite right now where I am? And the more that I do that, the better I can get at rewriting what's happening in my thoughts. And, you know, we take time to do that. We take that time during our prayer, our time of meditation, our time of working out, our time of walking out in nature, our time for going for a walk. You know, we have a very important meeting that we have to engage, you know, go in and take some time to locate yourself so that you can come to a space of being present in the moment and you become more aware of the narratives that you may have. And again, you know, this is not an overnight thing, but it is an everyday thing. So it's not an overnight thing. You don't just all of a sudden you're there. It is an everyday thing, which means it becomes a ritual, a practice, a method, an approach that we can embody. And perhaps some of these renewal practices we've shared today perhaps can help each of you navigate and look at where you are in terms of our perspectives, in terms of our narratives, and also in terms of what do we need to do to be able to move forward. All right. Yes. Good. All right. Well, I thank everybody for being a part of our tea time today. I know that we're on our YouTube channel, so I do want you to do this. I want you to share this link with others. Encourage them to get the subscriptions up. When you come on, please like it. When you come on, make sure that you share the link with others. Just press the share button, share with others. Make sure you put your notifications on so that you can engage with us. We just have a few more announcements we want to share with you today. Again, we are grateful for you to be a part of what we've been doing today here at Tea Time Tuesday. I want to remind you each and every Wednesday at the Renewal Center, we have our Reforming Culture. We are currently teaching on the Kingdom of God right now. And so it's been going on since September. It's been a whole 9-month study. We're excited about this. You can register if you download our mobile app, go to our website, www.therenewalcenters.com. And you can also register on our social media pages so you can access the Zoom link. Also continue to remind you each and every first and second, third Tuesdays, we do have our Tea Time Tuesday, all right, at 12 p.m. noon. And every fourth Tuesday is at 7 p.m. And our focus, of course, is to pause, reset, and build resilience. May you want to share a little bit about our New You?
Yes, actually, this past New You was this first Sunday, and we have New You every Sunday at 10 o'clock. First Sundays are always live. We'll be streaming live here on YouTube. Please join us for a time to just hear from God. I mean, we've been having some amazing teachings, and we would like to invite everyone. If you're not on Zoom, we ask that you would come and join us. And that's every first, second, and third Sunday. We stream through Zoom, and you can find out more information on our platforms for that, on how to register for our New You Digital Discipleships on Sundays.
Absolutely. Thank you. Also want to share with you, we do have an upcoming 6th prophetic gathering here in Concord, North Carolina, in the Charlotte area. And so it is April 4th and 5th, You see the registration is on Eventbrite right there. The sixth prophetic gathering.eventbrite.com. All right. And we're going to be at the First Missionary Baptist Church here in Concord, North Carolina is our venue. So we want you to be a part of this. Come and connect with us. We're looking forward to it as we are moving into year 6, a decade of declaration and demonstration. Here are our speakers, our facilitators. We're looking forward to a time not only of just impartation and teaching, but a time of fellowship and engagement around the word of the Lord. We want you to be a part of that. You know, part of the Renewal Center's vision, again, is to reveal Christ, to renew minds, restore lives, and reform culture. And so Tea Time is about renewing minds. Tea Time is about restoring lives. And so we're grateful to offer Tea Time to you. And we also have those other aspects of reforming culture on Wednesdays, the New You Digital Discipleship each and every week. We also have personal grief recovery for those of you that may have a need to navigate grief, to help you navigate any losses. We do have individual grief recovery. We can provide that service for you as well. So we want you to just let us know. You can inbox us on our website as well as our email address, the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail. And lastly, just want to encourage you as a nonprofit organization, you like to support our organization. These are the different ways you can donate financially and give to the Renewal Center. We ask you to consider us, to consider donating and partnering with us. This is an incredible organization to work with. Those of you that participated in that Economic Blackout Friday, perhaps can take that and give here. All right. You can support our nonprofit. We have an incredible product. We have an incredible nonprofit organization, incredible renewal principles and practices and ways you can give to us. You can go to our website, therenewalcenters.com/give. Text Renewal Center to 888-364-4483. We have PayPal as well as Zelle. If you just type in the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail. We also take Venmo at Renewal Center. And then also Cash Renewal Center is our Cash App. So I just want to give you a moment to go ahead and scan that. Go ahead and support us. I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for your donations and helping us move our vision forward. You also can mail your check or money order to P.O. Box 1381, Concord, North Carolina, 28026. All right. Well, that is our tea time for today. I want to thank everybody. Carmela, any last words?
Yeah, this was a really good renewal practice. It's good to see everyone out there, and come back and join us again next Tuesday for some more renewal practices at Tea Time Tuesday. And we want to definitely thank our Tea Time community today.
Yes. Thank you all very much. We're going to take a moment here and just do one last locate yourself before you go on with your day. I'll bring that on, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 12 p.m. for our Tea Time Tuesday. Remember, pause, reset, and build resilience. See you next time.